Hey there, guys. Do you want to know how I got these scars? It's been a while. It's been about a month since you've gotten to see my now disfigured, disgusting face. I know it looks way better than it did. Let me just show you. And by the way, can you guys hear me right now? Let me know. Scream in the comment section if you can hear me right now. About 2 weeks ago, and by the way, guys, quick update for you. If you didn't know, I actually work a normal full-time job now. I know people are going to ask, John, what do you do? I'm a paleontologist. I dig up dinosaur bones, and I'm being invited to a private island next month. They wouldn't tell me why I'm going, but none of that's true. The truth is, I'm a project manager for an insurance company, and I coordinate the repairs and restoration of people's homes. More or less, that's what I do. But let me show you what happened to my face a few weeks ago. And here it is. Look at that. Look at that hideous mug of a face right there. So I'll explain what happened. I was at a customer's home, and one of my installers were fixing this ladder that attaches to the attic, and it's spring-loaded. And he was holding it, and I was underneath him, and he let go of it, and it just went across my face. And I heard it snap, and I turned just in time because I have the reflexes of a cat. I have the reflexes of Spider-Man. And it swiped across my face. I had 7 stitches, a slight fracture in the bridge of my nose. And it was bloody and disgusting, and I drove myself to the ER room. And so, yeah, it wasn't a fun time. But it is healing nicely. I think the camera's making it look a little nicer than it is. There's definitely like a gash along here. Let me see. Oh, it's that side, yeah. So, anyway, I'll live, and maybe now I'll have some street cred. That or I'll just look like Scar from The Lion King. Anyway, so that's the story of my face. That's how I almost died. And it really was about, I don't know, maybe an inch away from my eyeball. So had that thing sliced my eyeball, well, I wouldn't have a left eye right now. And that would suck. So, but I do, and everything's okay. And hopefully the scars fade with time, as well as the bad memories. So that's my disgusting face. Now, with all that said, how are you guys doing? What do you guys want to talk about? Michael Flores says, you still look good, John. Well, I'll take it. I'll take it. Also, John, you look like John Martin from Red Dead Redemption. Ooh, yeah. Okay, so you're saying I look tough. Whatever goes along with a scar and looking tough, I will take it. All right, let's dive into some more questions here. And there's so much to talk about. Over the last month, it just feels like so much has happened. And if you guys missed my my Barbie review, which for some odd reason, I find it so bizarre that there's so much controversy and drama surrounding the Barbie movie. And I completely understand the people who are critiquing it, and I get why, but at the same time, are you really shocked? Are you really surprised that it was going to be what it was? I saw this coming from a mile away. I knew what the movie was going to be 6 months ago. So I guess when I watched it, I wasn't that taken back by it. But I did see Oppenheimer, and I am working on that review right now. And hopefully I can put that out tomorrow. I rather enjoyed Oppenheimer. I think it was a return to form from Christopher Nolan. I think it was a more subdued movie than he's made over the last couple films in his filmography. I would say I much more enjoyed it than Tenet, which at least you could hear the dialogue in Oppenheimer, so that was great. And, I enjoyed Dunkirk the time I watched it in the theater, and then I went back to revisit it on 4K. And it just didn't quite have the rewatchability for me. And I'm not saying Oppenheimer will, but I think overall I enjoyed Oppenheimer as a film more than Dunkirk. I just thought I thought the story was a bit more fascinating and intriguing, and I thought it was probably Cillian Murphy's best performance he's ever given. But no one wants to talk about historical epics. No. We need to talk about the Barbie movie, because as a society, that's the drama that keeps us going every day in life. And as a man, when I watch a film that empowers women and belittles me and my manhood, telling me that I'm stupid, I don't care, to be honest with you. I just really don't. I think if anything can be woke and be on the side of woman empowerment, men are stupid, women are better, we control the men, I don't give a shit anymore. I don't carry that baggage home from the theater. I just assumed that's what a Barbie movie would be. I don't think something called Barbie is really catered at my demographic. And it's okay. You know, they cater to the demographic that will see that movie, and I get it. So I guess I just really don't care. I think there's bigger things to talk about. And for me, I find it almost insulting we as a society and humanity decide to talk about the social commentary in a fucking Barbie movie rather than talk about the ethics of creating a man-made device of mass destruction known as the atomic bomb, and the fact that we as a society in multiple other countries have that power at our fingertips where we can essentially push a button and destroy ourselves. We're not talking about that dilemma. No. We're talking about the feelings of people that watched the Barbie movie and were hurt by it. I want to talk about the obliteration of all humankind. That's the topic we should be talking about. But you know what? That's neither here nor there. All right, that's my political statement for the night. And I just felt like I had to get that out. All right, let's just dive into the good, juicy questions. And whatever you guys want to talk about, we're going to do it. So that's all I had to say. How good was Oppenheimer? Well, Michael, I thought it was pretty damn good. It's a 3-hour movie. Now, do I want to rewatch it immediately? No. But one day when it hits 4K, could I watch it at home again in maybe like a year? Yeah. I thought it was riveting. I thought the story was interesting. And when it comes down to the actual climax of the film, I was a little bit surprised that they didn't show more of what they actually did with the bombs in Japan, but the actual testing of the bomb for the first time, man, that countdown, it's only 10 seconds, but it feels like it's 10 years. And I was on the edge of my seat. And I remember seeing that film in 70 millimeter IMAX. And I do want to talk about the IMAX experience of seeing Oppenheimer, which watching it on a 5-story tall screen was really immersive. My ass was rumbling, but in the best way possible. But by the end of the experience of that rumbling ass, rumbling ass assault. That sounds a little bit too violent. I was going to say by that 3-hour experience, by the end of it, and the rumbling of the speakers, I was just like numb. My ass was numb from that. And I will say the IMAX I saw this in, I went to the Indiana State Museum, which is one of the only like 20 IMAX screens in the United States that's a true IMAX. Not a LIMAX. It's a real IMAX. I will say that the seating kind of sucked. It sucked really bad, actually. It's just like the rows were the equivalent of airplane aisles. You know when you have to go, you know when you're on an airplane and you got the seat window and you have to go to the bathroom, but you just know it's such an ordeal, you almost consider peeing your pants. You have to get over people and wedge by them. They have to stand up in the aisle. That's what these IMAX seats were the equivalent of. So I don't know why they couldn't just make the aisles a little bit wider. Call me crazy, but it was a damn good experience nevertheless. All right, let's dive into the questions here. And I don't want to leave anyone hanging, so let me scroll back, make sure I see everything. Okay, here we go. Whew. Akai NG. Or Nye. Whatever you want me to call you, I'll call you that. How's it going, Akai, man? And by the way, I think I followed you on Instagram a while ago. Here we go. Glad to see your beautiful face, John. I just saw Oppenheimer this afternoon. I enjoyed it. How about you? Yeah, we just talked all about that. Quite enjoyed it. I mean, I'm going to crap out a review tomorrow at some point, but like I said, I'm working 40 plus hours a week right now and still juggling YouTube on the side. And I'm telling you this right now, when I go to see press screenings of movies on a Tuesday night and I drive 2.5 hours there and 2.5 hours back and I go to work the next day, it's withering me down. My boyhood charm and sensibilities are slowly withering away like a piece of beechwood. But nevertheless, I enjoyed the experience. And thanks for that, man. James Dozier says, "Hey, John, hope you're doing well." Yeah, and doing okay. You know, like I said, I almost lost my eyeball the other week, but hey, I'm still here to fight another day, and the scars are healing nicely. The trick, if you get cut or have a scar, rub antibiotics on it every day and keep it moist. That's the motto of life. Keep it moist, and everything will be okay. That's weird. Let me put these glasses on. That feels better. All right. James Dozier. Well, we just answered that question. Breezy Cap. How's it going, Breezy Cap? Oppenheimer is absolutely the kind of movie I miss. A great director with a fantastic cast making an epic, real movie. Yeah, it's few and far between these days because we're just getting bombarded with Hollywood junk puked out into our eyeballs and we're told to enjoy it, but really it's just momentary uh, content that comes out for 2 days and no one talks about it 3 days later. So it's really hard to get invested in films these days or what Hollywood considers films. But what do I know? I'm just a guy in his underwear talking about movies on YouTube. But going back to what a real movie is. Yes, Oppenheimer felt like a real film. I could use more of those in my life. I will tell you that. And I'm thankful that we have directors like Nolan. Even if I don't love all of his movies, especially Tenet, I still appreciate the fact that he's willing to try to give a quality cinematic experience and he gives a shit about it. And the fact that the guy just wants to shoot movies on film and 70 millimeter IMAX, oh, please give it to me. It just enhances the experience. Even if you go into Oppenheimer and you think, oh, I don't really care about this, just the spectacle and the immersion value of watching it because it's shot on film, that in itself is enough to suck you into that film and blow you away, figuratively and literally. George says, John, glad you're doing all right. Hope your new job is also going good. Quick question. Thoughts on Dune 2 and Aquaman 2 possibly getting delayed? Yeah, a lot of things are getting delayed with the writer's strike. And, whatever it takes, I guess, whatever it takes to get people paid, I'm fine with that. If Hollywood wants quality writing, which it feels like they really don't give a shit about quality writing, but if they do, then they should pay these people. And that's fine by me. So if they're delayed, and so be it. As far as Dune 2, I'm looking forward to it. I'm hoping I enjoy it more than the first Dune. Not to say I didn't like the first Dune. Has anyone had the urgency to revisit it over and over again? I myself have not, but I'm hoping the second one is a superior installment. As far as Aquaman 2, I heard that thing's an abomination against humanity and should just be flushed down the fucking toilet out into the sea. I've heard from test screenings, they've done 3 or 4 reshoots on the film, which is getting to the point where they're just tweaking and changing everything because they made some big mistakes. And I guess with DC currently in the toilet when it comes to box office success, and I guess we have The Flash to thank for that. But then again, I sort of enjoyed The Flash. Even if you want to say it's a guilty pleasure movie, compared to most comic book films that have come out over the last year or two, I would much rather lay in my room on a rainy day eating frozen pizza and rewatch The Flash compared to like 5 other Marvel movies that I've recently watched, especially their TV shows. So I will defend The Flash, even though it's not perfect. It's sort of just easy to watch. But yeah, I've heard Aquaman 2 is going to be a mess. Does that mean I don't want to see it? No, I kind of want to check it out. As far as the first Aquaman goes, it's always sort of been a fun, guilty pleasure of mine. So, but really, let's be honest. What is Aquaman 2? It's just the final nail in the DC coffin before they reboot that shit and start over. That's all it is. Double Chief says, so you're not staying up at 7 a.m. anymore. Laugh out loud. No, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I have matured and truly have become a 55-year-old man. I'm at that point right now. I'm trying to hold on to the childlike sensibilities. I really am. I assure you. This room keeps me 14 years old. And that's why this is sort of like my cocoon of youth. I got my arcade machines. I got my Blu-rays. I got my toys. I got a fucking Jurassic Park dinosaur figure. I got one right here, too. I got this shit right here, okay? Okay, Father Time, you will not take me today, nor will you ever truly take my soul and my spirit. But I am an old man, and I do wake up nowadays. Well, I'll tell you the beautiful thing about my job is I sort of get to dictate my own schedule. So I run around all day, and I coordinate things to happen. But I do have some flexibility, and I do have a lot of downtime to myself if I really want it. So, but I am waking up early, and I am going to bed around midnight. And I'll tell you this, by about 11:30, I'm pretty tired. So I will let you guys know I will do this live show until maybe midnight. I know it's been a while, but please forgive me. I have about an hour and a half in me, and then I have to go to bed. That's just where I'm at in life. I'm old and withered. For now. All right. Let's go to the next one here. James Dozier says, I thought Barbie was fine for what it was. Yeah, so I put out my review for Barbie, and we can talk all about Barbie if you guys want to. If you guys want to in the comments right now, chime in. What did you think about Barbie? Give me your rating. Give me your out of 5. What would you give Barbie?
When I saw Oppenheimer, I had people ahead of me on the phone. Instead of interrupting the movie, I waited until it was over and yelled, "What a movie. Good thing I wasn't on my phone. They got embarrassed."
Oh, did you guys enjoy my Mr. Belvedere robot voice? I like him. Yeah, if you guys give a juicy super chat, he pops up. So there's that. And I will get to your question in just a minute. I forgot what the Barbie movie. Yeah, so I put out a review. I gave it a 2.5 out of 5. Now, for me, a 2.5 is middle of the road. You can take it or leave it. That's my rating. Could I have went down to a 2 out of 5 for Barbie? Possibly. I think I could have. But I feel like the Barbie movie is a comedy movie. I think most women, at least a lot of women I know in my life, would enjoy it enough to watch it, with their friends and get a few laughs out of it. But even my girlfriend, who dressed up like Barbie to go see the movie with me, by the third act, we both agreed. We're like, wow, this is just not funny anymore. And it sort of lost all momentum. And I will say the first half of Barbie was what I thought it should be. And the jokes were there. The comedy was there. I thought Ryan Gosling stole the entire movie and he made it watchable. And don't get me wrong, Margot Robbie was a perfect casting choice for Barbie. But by the second half of the film, it went from women are smart and powerful and men are dumb. Haha. Like, that's fine. I can take that joke. I'm not sensitive. I don't give a shit. But by the third act of that film, it just basically, instead of giving you a vibe of joking, it just went, yeah, women are better than men, you stupid piece of shit. Don't you know anything? It felt like it was yelling at me. And rather than giving me a joke, it was sort of giving me a sermon about how I'm evil. And don't get me wrong, I already know I'm evil. That's fine. I can take it. But anyway, the best thing about the Barbie movie was Ken. And if that sounds sexist, I don't care. Because I think we all truly know deep down in our loins, Ryan Gosling was the best thing about the Barbie movie. And I'm going to tell you this. I think Ken should get his own solo spin-off movie. Okay? And now we can reverse everything. And it's a movie all about misogyny. Let's see how society takes that, huh? They won't like it. Anyway, I'm just kidding. Don't cancel me, please. Actually, I don't care anymore. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the Barbie movie. So we got a 3.8, a 2 out of 5. Yeah, it was a middle of the road comedy movie. I think if the second half could have been like the first, I think you would have had a decent comedy movie. It's just, God, that third act just was depressing almost. I was like, wow, the jokes aren't funny anymore. And you're just saying the same thing you've been saying for 2 hours. But then again, story of my life. All right, the next one comes from, let me take these, I'm sorry, I got to take the glasses off. I can't even read with them on. Where are we at? You guys are killing it with the questions. Let me try to keep up here. Lucas Bernowskowitz. How's it going? The Florence Pugh scene shocked me. Didn't think Nolan would do a scene like that. Yeah, there's a lot of controversy surrounding the nudity in Oppenheimer. For some odd reason, maybe it's because I grew up watching rated R films as a kid and I was desensitized and I just understood it's okay to see the human form on screen. It's okay. Like, we're all naked underneath these polyester clothes that we buy from China. It's okay. But yeah, she was nude in the movie and she had a conversation in full frontal nudity as they talked about like their relationship, but it didn't, to me, it almost seemed artistically done. I didn't think it was graphic by any means. So call me crazy. I don't know. But for me, if I had to sum up what Oppenheimer was, and maybe, oh, by the way, did you guys know I was finally approved on Rotten Tomatoes? I'm a certified real critic now. I can leave my thoughts on Rotten Tomatoes. Well, starting maybe next week because they're still giving me access to the critics portal on there. But yeah, so I can officially put things on Rotten Tomatoes now. I can put my reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm a somebody now, Mom. Do you hear that? I'm a somebody. Do I get paid for these things? No, I do not. What does it do for me? I guess a slight sense of accreditation. It makes me feel slightly better about who I am and what I'm doing in life. But other than that, let's talk about Florence Pugh and full frontal nudity. because I'm an artist and that's what I want to talk about. It was fine. But the best way I would summarize Oppenheimer is it's the most bombastic art house film ever made. I think that's a fair assessment. You know, it's artsy, but at the same time, Nolan does his best to keep you going on the edge of your seat. Max Nugenbauer says, "Hey, John, were you in an accident?" Yeah, scroll back to the beginning of the video, man. You will hear all about it. But I will live to fight another day. I'll tell you that. Hungry Movie Buff says, "Hey, John, I missed you, buddy. Could you give my movie channel a shout out? By the way, what's a movie about history you recommend?" Well, check out the Hungry Movie Buff. He's a hungry dude. And you know what you should do, Hungry Movie Buff? At the end of every review, you should eat something. I don't know. That could be a cool little shtick for you, you know? Or eat during your review. I don't know. Then again, I hate hearing people chew food, so don't do that. A movie about history that I would recommend, like truly based on true events in history. One that just came to the top of my brain was Escape from Alcatraz, based on the true events of a group of guys who escaped from Alcatraz. And speaking of historical movies, especially epics, they are coming out with a film. It's directed by Ridley Scott. It comes out this November, and it's called Napoleon. And that to me is a fascinating story in history because this little 5'5" guy conquered everything. And it's played by Joaquin Phoenix. So I feel like it's going to be really interesting just to watch him be batshit crazy on screen. And I don't know the intimate details about Napoleon. Like I grazed it, the history of it once in my life. But yeah, that's what my body has been craving is a good historical epic. And we just do not get enough of them. So yeah, maybe watch Escape from Alcatraz if you want a cool little story from the 1960s. The next one, or you know what, if you want a slightly inaccurate historical epic, watch The Patriot starring Mel Gibson. Slightly historical, and there's some inaccuracies. There's a few battles in that movie where they say that we won. Technically, we didn't, but that's okay. Overall, we did win the war, so I guess it counts for something. But watch The Patriot if you've never seen that. I think that's one of the most underrated movies ever made. Breezy Cap says, "The new Wonka trailer looks alright, I guess, but Timothée Chalamet, strange choice and is kind of weird in the wrong kind of way." A strange choice. I like the way you spelled strange as I adjust because my butt was getting sore. Yeah, the new Wonka trailer, does it look like a movie that needed to be made? Probably not. Do I almost think it could have been a limited series on Netflix or something, like 5 episodes? Possibly. Do I think that Timothée Chalamet is a good young version of Gene Wilder? Or can you top Gene Wilder's performance as Wonka? I don't know. But what I can tell you is I think the Wonka trailer itself looks better than the Tim Burton one that we got with Johnny Depp. And I know some people say they like that movie. I don't understand how the entire movie looks like it was shot on a green screen. But it looks okay. Do I really need to see a prequel to Willy Wonka? Not really. But I will say this. They better, and I mean this when I say it, Hollywood, they better put some little orange Oompa Loompas in that movie. Okay? Little orange people have better be in that movie. That's all I need. That's all I want. By the end of that film, I want to see some little orange Oompa Loompas. Singing, dancing, whatever they want to do, they better fucking be there. All right? There's one thing I will not give into. Kirkaholic says, and this is the robot voice we got earlier, "When I saw Oppenheimer, I had people ahead of me on the phone. Instead of interrupting the movie, I waited until it was over and yelled, 'What a movie. Good thing I wasn't on my phone.' They got embarrassed." Well, what you should have done is taken some Sour Patch Kids, sucked on them for about 37 seconds. Then what you do, just spit them into their fucking hair. All right? That's what you do to people on their phone in movie theaters, and I stand by that. Violence is never the answer, unless you're talking or texting in a movie, in which case it's like the Wild West. Yeah, I will say this. my audience at Oppenheimer was probably one of the best behaved audiences I have seen a film with in a long time. And keep in mind, it was a packed auditorium of about 400 people, and they were very quiet and respectful. And I think it's because just that quality of movie bring out a better quality of people, especially theater goers. But when you watch some junk ass movie, like, I don't know, Barbie, for example, and that was a little much. I don't think it's a junk ass movie. I just think it brings out a certain quality of person to the auditorium, and they don't have the etiquette that something like an audience goer of Oppenheimer would have. You know, Barbie brings out 11-year-old girls and stupid teenage boys. And that's exactly what I had in my screening of Barbie. I remember behind me, and I cut this out of my review because I went on for too long about it, but there was a group of like 5 or 6 douchebag kids in high school, and I think they were drinking alcohol as they watched the movie, and that's fine. But every like 5 seconds, the stupid dumb one who you could just tell he wasn't funny. He's never said a witty thing in his life, and his friends didn't laugh at anything he was saying. He just had the personality of drywall. He kept saying these stupid little jokes every 5 seconds. And I just I was just trying to keep my cool. I was like, okay, it's just a Barbie movie. I don't care. But I just wanted to get up and like take my empty Dr. Pepper bottle and just throw it right at his stupid fat little face. But yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to control my temper these days. What was I saying? Yeah, anyway, I hated all of them. And I hope they, I was going to say, I hope they got in a violent car crash on their way home from the movie theater and their heads went through the windshield. But maybe that's too much. Let's just go to the next question, shall we? Okay. SHM in Design says, how's dating life going? Still friends with Stuckman? I've been with my girlfriend for 2 years, man, so it's going there. Still friends with Stuckman? I don't know. What is the definition of a friend? I would say probably, kind of, sort of. I would say we are acquaintances. That's where I would say. That's what I would say. Shut Up Cat Production says, hey, Scarface, is the later okay? Do you sue/get well? Well, I think I get workers' comp, so they do compensate me for my medical bills, but I'm going to tell you this. My pain and suffering, I'm going to need to get paid for that. Okay? This isn't the money maker. You guys know that, right? This is the face that provides the truth. And if this face is scarred and damaged, well, I don't know what that means for society, but it really affects me when I look in the mirror when I wake up in the morning. So I want to get paid for this shit. So anyway, I'll take the name. Can you call me? No, that doesn't make any sense. Sure, call me Scarface if it makes you feel better. Aaron Nick says, John, I am moving out and into a new house. I am dreading moving all my shit and honestly can't fathom how you manage to move around constantly. It kept me young, it kept me on my feet, and I will say from a logistical standpoint of coordinating things, it made me an expert. You kind of just after the first 4 or 5, you get into a routine. And what I do is rather than drag out the moving process to 5 days or 6 days or weeks, no. I don't pack my shit until 1 day before it has to go into a truck. That's when I pack. And I just throw it into the truck and get it from point A to point B. That's all you have to do. Don't overthink it. Just get it there. Then figure it out. Yeah, I think I've moved 12 times. I don't know how I did it, but honestly, I think it was good for me in the long run. You know, you get to a point in life where you move around when you're young and able and agile and you have the means and the flexibility to do it. That way, when you finally settle down, you don't resent your life because you can go at the end of the day, you can say, okay, I tried all these different situations. I moved everywhere I thought I should go, and now I'm where I should be. And you won't be angry at your choices. At least that's my motto. Good luck with the move, though, man. Dustin Rich says, hey, handsome man. Well, thank you for that. You've taught us moisture is good for the skin, but alcohol is bad. What alcohol-free moisturizer would you recommend? I don't use alcohol because alcohol dries out your skin. Well, I have been using oil, vitamin E oil, and petroleum antibiotic ointment. I slap that on my face every night, and I lather it on nice and thick, and that's what I've been doing lately. The 50% Doctor Who podcast. Welcome back, Flicky. Thoughts on Black Mirror season 6? I have watched maybe 3 or 4 episodes of that, and really the only one I enjoyed was the one where it had Aaron. What is his name? Is it Aaron Johnson or whatever? Jesse from Breaking Bad. I thought that one was okay, but really, I don't think any of them are all that engaging. I think previous seasons had way better episodes. It feels like we're getting all the secondary ideas that never were greenlit in previous seasons, and now we're sort of getting like the scraps. I don't know. Maybe there's a great episode I'm missing, but the 3 or 4 I sort of watched and went, oh, that's it? Okay. Michael Flores says, John, I was wondering if you're ready for Silent Hill 2 remake. I didn't even know it was being remade. Jason Dolan says, Barbie a lot for Best Picture nom. If Nolan doesn't get Best Director this year, I will be very upset. The year is not over yet, but man, he definitely deserves it with Oppenheimer. I will say that. If this one doesn't get it, I don't know what will for Nolan. Clark Ingleton says, John, I think with your new job, you ought to give me some of the money you're making. I think you're making too much money now. I'm going to be honest with you, man. I'm really not. That's the weird truth. The only reason I decided to get a job really is because, 1, I wanted to know if I could do it. 2, I don't trust YouTube anymore whatsoever. And really, the honest truth is, at one point a few months ago, I was owed a significant amount of money from Facebook and a few sponsorships, and they just sort of like didn't pay me, and that kind of hurt a little bit and kind of messed up a few things for me in life. And that was the day where I said, wow, I'm just not going to put faith into this platform as much as I once did. So I wanted something to where if I went to work, I knew I would get paid every week. And so that's why I decided to get a job, really. I lost faith in YouTube. So anyway, but I do want to say, on a positive note, thanks to all 357 of you beautiful people for looking at my disgusting, disfigured face right now. But I thank you for hanging out with me. And I missed you guys. I really did. Like, this is the longest I think we've went without doing a live show, was about a month. And I was ready to do one a few weeks ago, but I was just like, I had stitches in my face and it kind of hurt to talk. And I was like, you guys don't want to look at this monstrosity, this monster. Anyway, let's go to the next question. Kirk Hollick says, did you find it weird the way JFK was name dropped in Oppenheimer felt like a weird sequel bait line from a lesser movie? The way the JFK was name dropped, I don't remember. Oh, I remember them referencing JFK. I don't remember the context of what it was, though. I'm sorry. Can someone refresh me on the context surrounding that? I do vaguely remember that. It would be kind of cool to see Nolan direct a JFK movie. That could be kind of cool. But we already had that years ago with Kevin Costner. Wasn't that was an Oliver Stone movie, wasn't it? Anyway, the next one comes from Kaliko MMA, who says, I've been watching you literally for 5+ years, and this is the first ever live show I've attended. Anyway, bro, you've been a staple of my YouTube feed forever. I appreciate and hope you move to the PNW one day. To the PNW. What is the PNW? Someone help me out. What is PNW? I was thinking Pornhub, but I don't know this. But anyway, man, thank you for that. Thank you for the support and watching, man. And thanks for hanging out finally. Thanks for the question. What is PNW? Am I stupid? Someone let me know what PNW is, or I'm dumb. But thanks for that. Jason Dolan says, Barbie and Oppenheimer both locks for best pick noms. I give it to Oppenheimer. I don't know about that Barbie shit, man. Barbie is a blob of plastic. Oh, Pacific Northwest. Okay, yes. I live in the Midwest. I live in Indiana. And though I wish we had more elevation and mountains to look at in the distance, I like where I live. I've been to the Pacific Northwest. I've been to Seattle. I think it's beautiful and cool. It just like walking around the street and seeing heroin needles on the ground as you walk to a fish market. I don't think it's all that appealing to me. But the mountains in the background, oh God, beautiful. The next one comes from Optimistic Forever, who says, hey, what's up, John? I was surprised to learn that a reboot, I think, of William Friedkin's Exorcist was made. What did you think about the trailer? I think I watched the trailer. I remember watching an Exorcist-like trailer. It seems like we've had 3 or 4 Exorcist movies. And by the way, the Pope's Exorcist with Russell Crowe, I watched 14 minutes of that movie and immediately stopped it because it was just so dumb I couldn't finish it. I remembered like the little boy throwing someone out of his room and going, I'm a little asshole. And then someone like made a joke about it. And I was like, okay, I can't take this serious. And I turned it off. I vaguely remember the Exorcist trailer thing that you're talking about. So I couldn't really give you a sufficient answer. Breezy Cap says, I think Blue Beetle looks so cliche and bad, and it's going to flop. Your thoughts? Well, keep in mind, the Blue Beetle movie was originally made to be an HBO Max movie. It was made to go direct to streaming. And I think in that sense, it looks fine. Do I think it looks like a movie that I'm going to need to go see in theaters? No, because it looks like a made-for-streaming movie. But yeah, does it kind of look like a B-rate version of Iron Man? Sort of, kind of. Do I have any interest in Blue Beetle as a character or any specific knowledge on him? No, absolutely not. Will I watch the movie? Maybe. Yeah, probably. Do I think it's going to be a topic of discussion more than 3 days after it comes out? No, I do not. And who even knows what they're going to do with Blue Beetle going forward with James Gunn's DC reboot? Will it be a one-off? Put it this way, if The Flash flopped at theaters, The Flash, where it had Michael Keaton as Batman, Ben Affleck as Batman, they marketed the shit out of that movie. If that flopped, do you think Blue Beetle is going to do significantly that much better? I don't. Maybe the movie was way cheaper in that sense. It'll make some money, but I don't think anyone's going to talk about it 3 days after it's released. John Gross says, watched your 10-year video today, and it was awesome to see how far you've come. Can't wait to see the next 10 years. Glad you're okay as well, man. Well, thanks, John. Yeah, I put that video out a while ago, so I'm glad you finally got around to watching it. I like that video quite a bit. I needed a video, and if you missed it, it's on this channel. It's called like 10 years on YouTube, and it's sort of just a montage of the last 10 years of this channel. Just this channel, not even the Flickpick channel. And there's also a story to be told within the video, the way it's edited. So if you haven't seen it, please watch it. And it's definitely a good solidification of like the last 10 years. So thanks for that, man. Reptile042 says, hey, John, of all the areas you've lived, which were your favorite/least favorite? Gosh, I live in Fort Wayne, Indiana now. And oddly enough, I do enjoy the town I live in. It's not too busy. It has everything you need. And where I'm located, I'm 2 hours away from every major city that I would ever need to go to. So if I want to go to Chicago, Indianapolis, Columbus, all 2 hours away. So it's nice and convenient and not overly congested. My favorite cities I've lived in, I thought living in Columbus was kind of cool. It's a big city, but it feels like a very suburban Midwest city. I felt comfortable there. I lived in Alabama. That was okay. Nicer than you think, but I wouldn't want to stay there long. South Carolina, the weather was nice. The people were okay, but the city itself just didn't feel like home to me. So really, I like where I live now. I really do. The South is too sticky. That's really my biggest complaint. Take that how you will. Mikey Wise, how's it going, Mikey, man? I've been following you on Facebook, man. Mikey has amazing muscle definition. I think he has negative 0.9% body fat. Anyway, here it goes. Hey, John. Glad that you're feeling better, man, and congrats on the Rotten Tomatoes. Did you catch the trailer for David Gordon Green's Exorcist remake? After the Halloween trilogy, I don't have high hopes. Okay, that's who directed it, David Gordon Green. Okay, I don't think I watched the trailer. Did it just come out recently? I don't think I've watched it. Do I want to see an Exorcist remake? I don't know if it's needed or necessary. I could see it being a cool movie to watch if they're releasing it around the fall time for Halloween. But I just feel like we should watch the original at that point. But as far as like your reference to David Gordon Green directing the Halloween franchise or the movies, or at least the first movie, I believe. Yeah, I don't have much faith in it either, to be honest with you. I feel like he'll do an okay job to where you don't hate it, but he won't do anything to make it better or elevate it to make it worthy of a remake. So that's where I'm at on it. But once again, I don't even think I've seen the trailer. So that's my opinion on it. But thanks for the question, man. Michael Parton says, John, I'm happy you're okay. I thought you were beat the F up at first. No, I wasn't beat up. No. I wish I was. I can much more deal with a black eye than I can a scar across my face. But no, I'm all good, man. I'm here. I'm good. And thanks for that. Shut Up Cat Production says, not being mean, you look like De Niro's Frankenstein. That hurts, man. That hurts deep down inside. But I'll take it for now. I will take that derogatory statement for $2 of your super chat. Thank you. And by the way, guys, if you guys are YouTube members, please chime in. I missed you guys. Chime in right now. I want to get to your questions. Michael Flores says, John, I'm going to call you John Marston now. Is that okay? Sure. I never played Red Dead Redemption, but I do get the reference. Tiger Town says, I liked The Flash. I liked The Flash, too. I would watch that shit again on a rainy day, anytime. I really would. Had some Back to the Future vibes ever so slightly in it, and I can appreciate things like that. I think it was one of the better DC movies in the last 5 years. So I'm still baffled it didn't do well at theaters. I thought that was the movie people would kind of like want to go see when they were bored, but you know, that's the other thing. I feel like no matter how good of a movie they make, it sort of just it dies within 2 days at cinemas. It's like people are just conditioned now to wait until it's released on VOD and watch it later. Like that is how audiences are conditioned now. I mean, the hardcore theater enthusiasts will always go, but it's getting scary. It really is. John, what is the best movie you saw in 1998? See, 1999 would have been a really interesting time for that question because I don't know how I can narrow it down, but 1998. 1998. Deep Impact. Let's see. What came out in 1998? No, it was Godzilla. I'm pretty sure. Let's see. What good movies did we get in 1998? Oh man, I'll tell you this. Okay, my favorite movie. Shit, we actually had some good movies in 1998. Okay, you got Saving Private Ryan, 1998, phenomenal. That would be in the top 5. You got Big Lebowski. That might just be my favorite movie from 1998. Rush Hour, Rounders, I enjoy that. There's a lot of good movies from 98 on here. Deep Impact, like I mentioned. Shit, man, 98 was bloated. Just looking at all the quality movies that just came out that year alone, you go, oh my God. Every one of these is good and stands out and is a classic to some degree. And then you look at movies now and you go, oh God, I'd give anything to go back to the 90s. Like, I'll tell you a random movie from 1998 that I really enjoyed that not many people do. Man in the Iron Mask, starring Leonardo DiCaprio. And it sort of has like a Three Musketeers vibe with King Louis, the whatever 15th or whatever he was. I enjoy The Man in the Iron Mask. If you've never seen it, seek it out and watch it. If you're into historical epics to some degree, really enjoyed that. But if I had to pick one from 98, probably Big Lebowski and Saving Private Ryan on that list. Thanks for the question. All right, the next one comes from John. Did you see Gladiator in theaters? You know, I don't think I did see Gladiator in theaters. I was in 7th grade when it came out. And I don't think I saw it in theaters, but I definitely saw it when it first hit VHS. Or did I watch it on DVD? I probably watched it on DVD. So yeah, I don't know if I did see it in theaters. I honestly don't know. I just remember seeing it in 7th grade. And I remember in 7th grade, our teacher had us do a report on something that we did last week that we really enjoyed. And I think I wrote my report on watching Gladiator. So. All right, the next one comes from Crunch Butt Steak, which I still stand by as a phenomenal name. If my channel wasn't called John Flickinger right here on this channel, I would call it Crunch Butt Steak. Anyway, this is it, guys. Old Johnny's leaving us. I'm not leaving you. I just came back. What the fuck are you talking about? I just came back from a tragedy, an event, a disaster in my life. And as soon as I healed up, where did I come back to? I came back to you, the people. Okay? That's where I came back. I've been pumping out videos on the FlickPick channel for the last month, man. Go check them out. I'm not going anywhere. Kirk Holick says, where does Dead Reckoning Part 1 ring for you? Ghost Protocol is still peak Mission Impossible for me. Yeah, Dead Reckoning, and by the way, I meant to talk about this movie, except I saw this movie the same week that I had stitches in my face, so I was like, let's just wait. I enjoyed Dead Reckoning. Do I think it was tonally all over the place and discombobulated, and you go from one scene that's almost overly epic and overly dramatic to another scene that's like almost comedic? Yes, but I didn't hate that. I think the train scene in Dead Reckoning was awesome. I liked the climax quite a bit. I think the story overall that relates to AI I thought the concept was kind of cool, but the execution was, I would say, not very good. But I'm looking forward to part 2, and I had a good time with it. I did, but I think as far as a movie as a whole, when it comes to Mission Impossible and rewatchability and just having a streamlined movie that's perfect from start to finish, I would say Fallout and Ghost Protocol are definitely the superior 2 Mission Impossible movies over this newest one. But I still enjoyed the new movie. I really did. Shut Up Cat Production says, take it like a champ. Exorcist remake looks trash. Yeah, I'll watch the trailer at some point. Not right now. Jason Nelson says, can you believe Blade made less than 6 days, 7 nights? Yeah, man, I think Harrison Ford in the 90s just, people wanted to look at him more than they did Wesley Snipes, oddly enough. But which movie do we talk about 25 years later? We talk about Blade. So there you go. Election 1999 was funny. Love the screenwriting. Oh, no. Election 1999 with Matthew Broderick. By the way, Tracy Flick's motto, pick Flick. Gee, I guess that might have been an inspiration for something. Anyway, I will never admit that in a court of law because you can't sue me. I quite enjoyed Election from 1999. I think that's a truly underrated comedy movie. And when it comes to comedy, I like dark comedy. So something like Election 99, that's kind of my comedy style. And if you've never seen it, please go watch it. Great movie from 99. Michael Flores says, that's crazy that you mentioned the movie John. My grandma loved that movie. Which movie are we talking about? Superhero movies are dead. You know, the thing is, that's a good argument that you could make. It really is. I think what it is mediocre superhero movies will no longer make a ton of money at the box office no matter what. At one point they could, but now I think we're to a point where if you're going to put your superhero movie in theaters, it's got to be a damn good one. You can't just poop out mediocre crap. And I hope Hollywood has learned their lesson. Give people quality movies and you'll get quality box office results, typically speaking. Jason Nelson, but then again, who knows? Maybe Morbius Part 2 and 3 are on the way. And then we have a Hannibal movie, or what is it, with Aaron Taylor Johnson, the Kraven the Hunter movie. Like, I don't know what Sony's thinking. Do they really think that's going to make a lot of money at the theater? Like, Flash didn't make money. You think Kraven the Hunter movie is going to? Especially, like, it. Don't get me wrong. I want to see it, but we already know what it's going to be. Come on. Jason Nilsson says, we already answered that one. All right, Joel Wayne says, hey, John, glad you're okay and congrats on being Rotten Tomatoes verified. Does that mean you're going to go back and review all of your favorite films to increase their Rotten Tomatoes score? You know, I don't think I'm going to go back and update 800 things that I've talked about over the last 10 years. I think I'll go back over time when I'm bored and definitely give ratings to some of my favorite movies of all time and some of my least favorite movies of all time. Excuse me, I had a little burp. I'll probably go back and update some stuff or go back and all the movies I really care about, I'll go on Rotten Tomatoes and put a little blurb on there. But yeah. Jason Dolan says, John F. Kennedy. Oh, yes, that movie. Yes. Good movie. I watched it once. I don't think I could ever watch it again, though. Don't get me started on the JFK conspiracy theories. I will put my tinfoil hat on, and this will turn into something else immediately. Diamond Dead says, I just joined. How did you almost die? Just scroll back to the beginning of the video, man. It's all there. You can just scroll back and rewatch it at any point. It's all in the beginning. I went to Jurassic Park, and a velociraptor almost ripped my head off. That's really how I almost died. Shut Up Cat Production says, jokes aside, feel better, man. Sending you my new short. Well, thanks for that. I will look out for it. Dustin Rich says, I tried watching Master and Commander, but the old English dialogue was hard to understand, and I got bored. Do I suck? Dustin, I won't say that you suck, but God, you really missed out on a phenomenal movie. I don't think the old English dialogue is too much to handle. I don't think it's overbearing by any means. No, I wouldn't agree with that. But hey, you watch what you want, man. It's your life. All I can do is recommend which movies I like. If you don't want to watch it, that's fine by me. But you missed out on a phenomenal, epic movie that takes place on the sea. One of the best movies about seamen that you'll ever watch, some would say. Optimistic Forever says, letting you know I turned 32 2 weeks ago. Well, happy belated birthday to you, man. Enjoy it. I'll tell you something about 32. It was at 32 where I realized that, wow, my youth is sort of dying. You realize at 32 that you're only going to get older from this point, but not in a good way. Like everything under 32, you're young, you're youthful, you can do whatever you want. After 32, you start feeling your age a little bit more. Even if you don't necessarily look it, you feel it. Or at least that's how I did. But anyway, enjoy. This is really the last year of youth that you have. John, we all know you will rate Nightcrawler soon. Abso-fucking-lutely I will, because the name of the company's Video Production News, a professional news gathering service. That is how it should be read, and that is how it should be said. What did you do before you became a YouTuber, man? I think I've talked about this in many of videos. I worked at a marketing company. I worked at Jiffy Lube. I worked as a pizza delivery driver. I worked in a movie theater as an usher. But really, I would not do my job, and I would just go sit down with my walkie-talkie on silent and watch movies. And then as soon as they said, John, popcorn spill, aisle 5, or whatever, I would kind of get up and go do it and then go back to watching the movie. I've worked at a multitude of mini jobs before YouTube. Kenji says, sup, John? Glad you're doing well. I saw the Marvels preview before watching Sound of Freedom in the theater. Weird. Also, Meg 2 looks trash. Yeah, man. The Meg 2 just looks like a slightly more competent version of Sharknado. Like, I get what they're going for. They want some stupid popcorn movie that teenagers can watch and laugh at. I get what they're going for, but the unfortunate thing about the Meg movies, if you read the novels that those are based on, by Steve Alton, I think, or something like that, they're called The Trench. Phenomenal books. Awesome. Epic. And I feel like if those books had been produced and made by like James Cameron, for example, and were treated with the same gravitas as something like Avatar meets The Abyss, they could have been the most epic underwater movies ever made, because those books were not written like the junky, shitty Jason Statham, I'm going to fight a shark today. They weren't written like that. So whatever tone they're going for was not what those books were. So I was very upset by that. Anyway, what was the question I was talking about? Oh yeah. Yeah, the Marvels preview. It looks like it should have just been a TV show. Like, it doesn't look like a movie to me. It looks like it should have been a TV show. All right. By the way, the whole Sound of Freedom thing, I did review it, and I intentionally left out in my review why the movie was delayed by 5 years, and I should have mentioned that. But anyway, that's really fascinating stuff, isn't it? Two Balls, One Nut says, have you ever had a moment where a movie you loved growing up isn't as good on rewatch? Happened to me with the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, and I feel dead inside. Yeah, it's kind of a hard pill to swallow when you go back and watch the first Guardians of the Galaxy and they have a dance-off competition during the climax. And it's odd because I'm not saying I hate it. I'm not saying it ruins it for me, but we accepted that back in 2014. But if they did that now, people would shit on that movie. So I don't know if we're getting tougher as an audience, or we're becoming less forgiving. I'm not quite sure what it is. I don't know. Or maybe movies just aren't tricking us as well as they once did with captivating stories and characters, to where the stories and the characters are so boring that we just latch on to every little bad thing about the film. Maybe that's what's happening. Anyway, going back and rewatching a movie that I once loved and trying to go back and rewatch it again. That's a good question. I know there's movies. I know there is. God. There was something I tried to rewatch recently, and I was like, man, this is just not as good as I remember it being at one point. That's a great question for you guys, and I want you guys to chime in as I try to brainstorm what that movie was. Tell me a movie that you loved when you were younger, or maybe a teenager. A movie that you loved when you were a teenager, and then you go back as an adult, and you're like, oh my God, this is not as good as I remember it being. Movies for Life says, worst Terminator movie, Dark Fate or Genesis? Oh, Dark Fate, without a doubt. Dark Fate is an abomination against humanity. And I am so angry just talking about that piece of shit trash movie that was cracked out from Hollywood. What a waste of Arnold. What a waste of money. And it's like they're almost intentionally trying to kill the Terminator franchise. But oddly enough, we live in a time where AI should be on the forefront. And you could make an awesome Terminator movie at this point, but they just make it so cheap and junky, don't they? Yeah, when it comes to Terminator Dark Fate, I thought the villains were terrible casting choices. The protagonist, the lady who she had like a Justin Bieber bowl haircut. I don't know what that was. And then you had Arnold, and he was just a comedic relief in the movie. Like, he's just an old T-800 installing drapery for children's rooms. That's his job. What? And then you kill off John Connor in the first 4 minutes of the movie, retconning T2 Judgment Day, which is one of the best action movies ever made. So there's that. Are you watching Secret Invasion? Fuck no. Star Trek 2009. See, I like Star Trek 2009. I still enjoy it. iRobot, okay. Stand By Me, still good. Oh, Stand By Me gets better with age. That's my opinion. Battle of Los Angeles. I never liked that. X-Men Origins Wolverine. You thought that was good when you were a kid? Wow. Yeah, okay, here's a great one. Speaking of X-Men, the first X-Men movie I remember watching as a kid, or back in 2000 or whatever, and thinking, oh, that's pretty good. And then you go back to revisit it now, and you're like, it's not that good. It's like, it's okay, but it's like, you can tell that movie needed more money. Inception is still very hard to get through. You know, oddly enough, like 5 years ago, I went back to rewatch that movie, and it was, how do I say this? I still embraced it for what it did and the qualities that it had. But overall, I was like, this story is not as good as I thought it once was. I'm still always confused by Inception to where they go down different. So they go within a dream of a dream within a dream. And at one point in the film, they talk about the time span that it feels like if you go into that deeper level of a dream where it feels like you're there for 6 months or 6 years. And by the time in the climax of the film where they go into the James Bond-like snow level where they have to infiltrate the building, that was like the third layer of a dream. So you're telling me they were on a snowy mountaintop for 6 months? I don't feel like they ever truly explained the time frame of being deep into a dream. It's like, so you guys were just there for 7 months, but we're watching 5 minutes of the action that took place. What did you do for the rest of the time? I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something. Days of Future Past, I think, is the best X-Men movie ever made, or at least live action. Who has more charisma, Sam Worthington or Jai Courtney? Both are void of charisma, and both are sort of the same guy that you cast when you want a generic Hollywood leading guy, but you can't get Matt Damon. If I had to pick one, I would probably say I'd rather look at... God, I don't want to look at either of them. Man, they kind of just bombed in every movie they were in other than Sam Worthington with Avatar. At least Sam Worthington has Avatar. I don't know what Jai Courtney has. Shit, man. Honestly, I think Sam Worthington has a little more likability than Jai Courtney. I'm just going to go there. That's my choice. Joel Wayne says, has Disney Plus ruined the MCU with its mediocre TV shows? I don't think they've done any favors. I think what they've done with their TV shows on Disney Plus, and correct me if I'm wrong or let me know if you agree, I feel like what they've done is they've watered down the MCU to the point where rather than when these big films come out, they feel like a spectacle and an event and they matter. So we go to the box office to see them for this continuation of this story. But in these MCU shows, we basically come to the conclusion where nothing really has any consequence, no one really ever dies, and they're sort of just dragging us along for this story that really, in the grand scheme of anything, won't matter by the next movie. So we're just sort of being inundated with way too much content, and we're being numbed to the point where we don't want to go see the next big MCU movie at the theater when it comes out. Or at least that's how I feel. So let me know if you feel the same way. But that's my quick thoughts on Marvel TV shows on Disney Plus. Van Helsing, yeah. You know, I've always stood by Van Helsing being a shitty guilty pleasure movie, and it still kind of is, but I actually went back to show my girlfriend the movie for the first time because she's never seen it. And halfway through the movie, I was like, oh God, yeah, I know it's hard to get through, isn't it? And it just was not as fun as I remember it. Now, don't get me wrong, there's still some fun to be had. But man, it's few and far between. I don't think I can go back and revisit that movie for another 5 years at this point. I think it's a movie like a 6-year-old would like, though. Brett Kohler says, John, love your videos, man. What's one of your favorite theater experiences? I think seeing Oppenheimer in 70mm is up there for me. It was incredible. Yeah, pretty cool experience. The seats I wish were a bit more comfortable. One of my best theater experiences I've ever had, there's probably, I'm trying to think of the one I've mentioned before, but it went like this. It was 2011. It was a snowy, cold night, and I went to see Girl with a Dragon Tattoo, the David Fincher version, and I didn't have anyone to go to the movie with. And it was 11:30 at night. That was the show time. And I was like, you know what? I want to go see this movie. I'm in the mood. And I remember going to the theater. It was just me in this big empty auditorium. And it was a huge auditorium. And I got to watch that movie all by myself in the dark, cold night as it was snowy out, and I was just sitting there with my popcorn and my large diet soda, and it was so immersive. And I remember just thinking, oh, this just feels so good right now. And it was sort of the dark, seedy movie that I love, and it gave me everything that I needed. So that's always been one of my favorite theater experiences. I guess what I'm telling you is I like to watch movies without other people in the theater. The next one comes from Jason Dolan, who says, A Perfect Murder, very underrated 1998 movie. A Perfect Murder. Is that, what's her name? Law, or isn't that Superman's mom? What's her name? She was married to Josh Brolin. Isn't that who? Or, no, I'm thinking of Double Jeopardy. Or am I thinking of Double Jeopardy? I don't know. Anyway. John Jordan says, Hey John, have you seen the movie Breakdown? Hadn't seen it in years and saw it last night again. It's a shame nobody talks about it. Yeah, Breakdown with Kurt Russell's phenomenal. Great little smaller movie, I guess you could say. And I own it on Blu-ray. The Blu-ray I just got a few months ago, and that's a cool movie. It's suspenseful, it's thrilling. And I will say this, though. What kind of guy lets his wife get into a semi with some trucker to drive away down the road? Oh, no, it's okay. I'll stay with the car. Fuck the car. Get in the truck with your wife and get to the payphone, all right? Come on, Kurt Russell. That's your fault. I'm just saying. You know another movie that's sort of underrated? Speaking of truck drivers doing creepy shit, Joyride. I actually think Joyride's a great movie. I really do. Really underrated. If you want a nice rainy night suspense horror film, watch Joyride with the family. John, is Bully 01 a dirty, disgusting film? Absolutely. I would go so far as to say the director of Bully, I think watching the way he directs his films with teenagers in them, it looks like he has a weird preference, I would say, that he has not been caught for just yet. Anyway. The Paul Walker movie. Yeah, Joyride. Yeah. Steve Zahn. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. I think it was written by... my mind has been mush today. The director of Star Trek. J.J. Abrams, I think, wrote Joyride, or at least co-wrote it. So anyway... All right, guys, I'm going to answer a few more questions. So if you got anything that you feel like you need to get out and let go of, now is the time. I will sit here for the next 5-10 minutes and answer some more questions. Just to let you know, I have got to end this by midnight because after midnight, well, I turn into a pumpkin. No, I need my sleep. I'm old. Joel Wayne says, is Independence Day the best disaster movie ever made? I don't know. I would say, honestly... If you want a big blockbuster popcorn movie, Independence Day definitely is in the top. But if you want the best disaster movie ever made, from a cinematic standpoint, I would argue that Titanic just might be the movie. I really do. I watched Titanic again just maybe last week at some point, and I was rewatching it, and I was like, they just could not make this movie today. Like the practical effects, the actual James Cameron actually physically making the Titanic. There's maybe 2 scenes with CG that you could maybe make a little bit better by 2023 standards. But outside of that is a near perfect movie and timeless. I feel like Titanic is one film that people can watch in 50 more years and go, oh, wow, that still holds up to today. Like there's very few things in that film I feel like you could do better 25 plus years later. I stand by Titanic. I think it's still a phenomenal movie. Yeah, Geostorm is probably the best disaster movie ever made. Yeah, Geostorm, definitely. What was the other shitty disaster movie Moonfall. Yeah, Moonfall. Dan Peters says, have you seen any of these shows? Ted Lasso, I have not. Justified, I have not. The White, I don't think so. Lotus, no. Or Yellow Jackets, no. I don't think I've watched any of those shows, man. I'm sorry, I just haven't. I started watching the first episode of Yellowstone. I got through it, and I just felt no urgency to watch any more episodes of it. I was like, oh, they're fighting about their land. I guess I have to care about their land. I don't. The next one comes from Shut Up Cat Productions, who says, I liked Shelby Oaks when I was a kid, but now, nah. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I'm curious to watch it. I truly am, man. Dan Peter says, have you seen any of these? Oh, I just answered that. Sorry. Michael Flores says, John, do you think I'm a good parent for letting my son watch Tenacious D, The Pick of Destiny? He's 8. Absolutely, man. As a parent, you need to expose your kids to movies, especially something like that. I think that's very mild, to say the least. But I feel like there's a certain degree, like, when my kids are 7 or 8 years old, I will show them movies like Terminator Judgment Day, you know? I want to show them movies like when they're 5 years old, show them movies like Star Wars. You gotta expose these children to quality cinema. Now, will I show my 5-year-old one day Silence of the Lambs? Probably not. Will I wait until they're maybe 10? Yeah, maybe. Maybe that's pushing it. But, you know, that's the time I watched the movie. And by watching movies like that at a young age, it made me realize what quality cinema is, and it opened up my eyes to life. You know, I didn't have the brain of a little baby who couldn't take a joke or see the humor in something, you know? So I think exposing children to slightly more mature things, ever so slightly, is good. I really do. I think it makes them more well-rounded and less sensitive to the world that they're going to live in one day. If anything, it toughens them up. Or at least that's how I feel. And honestly, if I wasn't exposed to movies like that in the 1990s when I was younger, I don't know if I'd have such an appreciation for cinema that I do today. So, Jason Dolan says, hey, John, have you ever thought about being a weatherman at your local news station? I don't know. Well, no, not a weatherman. Could I maybe be a local reporter? Yeah, but do I want to? No, I don't. I don't want to do that. And this just in, I don't give a shit. Let's go to the next question. Joel Wayne says, do you think Christopher Nolan should have cast Nick Nolte to play Einstein in Oppenheimer? You know, that's not the worst idea I've ever heard. And now, scene. Well, Oppenheimer, it's a real nice thing what you did with that atomic bomb. And cut. Let's continue. Thoughts of Martin Scorsese. Terrible director. No, man, he's phenomenal. One of the top 5 best directors still working today. Dustin Rich says, no offense, but in your first live video, you sounded like a little bitch, and I wanted to BB you your desk Dark Knight style. In my first live video? When was this? What was my first live video? I don't know, man. Did I sound more high-pitched? I don't know. It could also be the microphone, though. If my voice sounded really tinny in the first live show I ever did, whenever that was, it's probably just because the mic wasn't very good, so it kind of had a high-pitched vibe to it. Because I think my voice has sounded sort of similar for a very long time. So, but thank you, Dustin Rich, for telling me how much you wanted to batter me years ago. I do appreciate it, man. It makes me feel good. Jason Nilsson says, honestly, how do you feel about going to conventions? I'll tell you about conventions. I went to the MegaCon convention in Orlando, and then a week before that, I went to the one in Cleveland. And I generally like walking around the conventions for a minute, looking at all the cool stuff. And I'll tell you my favorite thing about the conventions is meeting the viewers and the fans. And I'm always blown away that, in Orlando, when I went there, I had a line of like 10 people for an hour constantly coming up, and we took pictures together, and that was awesome. I love that aspect of it. But outside of that, it's sort of like it's a little bit tedious to be there all day. and then you have to do these panels. And for me, the panels, the discussions aren't quite as free as I want them to be. You know, I want a little more free flow rather than these segmented topics that we have to talk about. So that to me is not the fun part, but meeting everyone is. If I could just do that, I would enjoy them. But I'm sort of like, I'm the type of guy that wants to go to a convention for like 3 hours and then leave. Like that's enough for me. At that point, I just feel like I'm sweaty, I'm gross. I need to put on a different shirt, and my underwear is feeling a bit sultry. So, Ingrid Plaza says, do you think that there will be a 2023 movie that scares conservatives more than the Barbie movie does? I'm going to go so far as to say I don't think it's about scaring conservatives. I think it's just the jokes were not funny by the third act. It went from being a joke to like yelling at the audience. like to me, it failed as a comedy during the third act. And that's what it was. It just failed as a comedy. So I don't know. You know, all the channels who like to call movies woke, cool, great. But I think when movies like Barbie comes out, they have to be happy about that shit, right? Because it just gives you content to ride for 2 weeks. And me personally, I just don't care. I don't give a fuck. I really don't. It's just a movie. We're not going to talk about this in a week. It doesn't matter. It was a mediocre comedy movie that no one's going to remember in 2 weeks. So I don't carry it around like some weird baggage from my childhood. I just don't care. So to answer your question, which movie do I think in 2023? What other movies are coming out this year? I don't know. Who knows? It's odd to me that movies come out and there's this big topic about this big discussion about how one group's offended by it, the other group supports it. And I'm like, wow, that's the movie. That's the movie we decided to have that point of contention on. And it's Barbie. That just really goes to show you how fucking shallow humanity has come. Like, this is the deep-rooted conversation of debate we're having. The Barbie movie. All right. Like, isn't that scary? I don't know. It scares me. It makes me lose all faith in humanity. It's like, God, we really are just cockroaches running around, aren't we? Joe Wayne says, are you looking forward to the Ridley Scott's Napoleon? Yeah, I talked about that earlier. And to me, that looks like a movie. That looks like a film. Yes, give it to me now. Barbie was the movie since Beau is Afraid. What? I liked Beau is Afraid, but it would take me a long time to go back and revisit it because it literally, it almost induced like a panic attack at some point. And maybe it's because I had taken too many gummies before I watched it, but it was freaking me out. Are you excited for Scorsese's new movie? Yeah. What is it? Flowers of a something, Blue Moon, something. I always forget the title of it. Yes, I am. Anything that Scorsese puts out, I will be excited to see it. All right, the next one comes from, and I got a few more questions I'm going to answer, so we got like 6-7 minutes left together. Let's all embrace it and hold each other until the asteroid hits and we all blow up and implode. Michael Flores says, thank you, John. One day you will be an awesome dad. Well, give me a couple years because I'm still clinging on to my childhood, please. Grace Randolph didn't like Oppenheimer. Oh, well, well, I don't know. The movie was too long. I don't know. What did she say? I don't know. Who cares? Here's a funny one. Jay Wheeler says, the injury occurred because God is telling you to be a YouTuber and make more videos. You know, I did come to that conclusion. I did. I sat there in the hospital room and said, you know, this never would have never happened if I was just making a fucking flick trip, right? And I don't know. So I don't disagree with you.
The rumors that Ghostface is going to be the new Spider-Man villain in the
Oh, okay. We got another robot question. I love these things. And thank you, Lucas Griffin, for the glorious, magical, and mystical question. Here we go. Let's read this question. Okay. So, have I heard the rumors that Ghostface is going to be the new Spider-Man villain in Andrew Garfield's Amazing Spider-Man 3? That sounds completely made up and not true. But at the same time, no, I have not heard that. Also, have you seen Mission Impossible 7? I did see Dead Reckoning. I enjoyed it. We talked about it earlier, but I think it was a little bit discombobulated, and the entire AI storyline in it, where they sort of had AI as the villain, but just having the concept of AI as a villain isn't enough in a film, because you have to have some actual physical, tangible villain in your movie. So they had some guy who represented AI who was like a worshipper of it. Weird shit going on in that movie. To me, that was really bad. That I was like, oh, that's bad. And every time in Mission Impossible where they had to represent AI as like, it's lingering in the background, everybody, they would always have like a computer screen or a TV monitor in the backdrop with like a digital wallpaper breathing, going, just to remind the audiences like AI is bad and scary, but it doesn't technically really exist anywhere. So anyway, I did enjoy the movie though. I thought the climax was great. I liked watching Tom Cruise glide on a parachute and then escape a train. That was pretty cool. I think part two would. I'm hoping part two is better though than part one. The next one, and thanks for the question, Lucas. Thank you so much, man. Very generous of you. Night King 01 says, what was with the 2006-2008 with disappointing sequels? X-Men, Spider-Man, Bond, Pirates, Indiana Jones. Had a thought about this randomly. Yeah, you're not wrong. I remember back in like 2007 and 2008, you're right. That was like multiple disappointing sequels. And it just felt like all the sequels that were coming out, they had way too much of a budget and way too long of a movie. And it just felt like a bloated mess where all the executive producers just said, I have an idea. Let's cram it into this movie. And it just felt so bloated and bad. Like, I go to the Pirates of the Caribbean movie from 2007. Was it 2007 or 2008? Whatever. I just thought that was so hard to get through. I was like, oh, how did you bastardize this movie to this degree? So no, I do agree with that. Lots of bad sequels in those years. Right, Matt Lewandowski. Or Matt Lewandowski. Sorry, please forgive me. Are you going to see Talk to Me? Could be good. I did see... Wait, Talk to Me? Talk to Me. Talk to Me movie. What is this? Sorry, hang on. Talk to Me. Okay. Looks interesting. Oh, the new A24 film. Sorry. Yeah, I'm definitely going to check that out. I was just thinking about that the other day. Okay. I thought we were thinking of the new Jennifer Lawrence comedy movie where she dates a kid that has a slight form of autism, which I enjoyed the movie. I'm not going to lie to you. Jennifer Lawrence is naked and beats up a guy with a fish on the beach. Anyway. But we're not talking about that. No, we're talking about the Barbie movie. Joel Wayne says, why wasn't Michael Caine in Oppenheimer? I literally thought for 1 second Michael Caine was going to walk out and be Einstein. For like 1 second, I was like, oh my God, I could almost see him casting Michael Caine in this role, but that would have been terrible. I'm glad he didn't. Talk to Me is scary as hell. Yeah, I'll definitely check it out, man. It's on the to-do list. Night King 01. All right, this will be the last question of the night. So please, guys, no more questions, and because I need to go to sleep. Okay, I gotta wake up in like 7 hours. Here we go. I'm on a schedule now. All right, I'm an adult. No, I'm not. The last question of the live show will come from Night King 01. We just got another one. Okay, I guess I lied to you. Speaking of Oppenheimer, I hear a lot of people saying that this movie is self-indulgent and overly long, like the worst of his movies. I've never heard one of his movies go over 2.5 hours, other than Inception. People don't like long movies, I guess. I don't care. But I think is Oppenheimer a little bit too long? Yeah, I guess you could cut 10 minutes out of it. Sure, why not? But I think with a story like Oppenheimer, and the scenes and the sequences and how much it had to tell, I feel like the runtime was okay. I really do. It reminded me of like a classic film. If you look at movies from the 1950s and 60s, most historical epics were long 2.5, 3 hour movies. So I thought it was fine. I thought the runtime was okay. Cut out a little bit of it. Sure, why not? But I don't think it was self-indulgent by any means. Now, Tenet, to me, was a self-indulgent Nolan movie. Zabur Zazu says, what do you think about the current MCU? I don't like the direction it's going. Oh no, it's just watered down baby food at this point. Right now in the MCU, we are on the B team of the B team. The varsity players are done. Captain America, Iron Man, they're out of here, right? We're on the JV squad. So do the movies sort of feel cheaper and a little more slapped together? Yeah, they do, in an odd way. They just feel like content. They feel like embellished, made for streaming service movies that are somehow being released in theaters. And I think The Marvels is a good example of that. But anyway, I haven't seen the movie yet. Who knows? Maybe it's great. John, hope your face gets better. It is getting better by the day. I'm hoping I don't have any long-term scars from it. Is it? It's this side here. Yeah, it's okay. There was a gash here and a little gash here. I think it'll be okay. Give it time. All right, guys. I'm going to wrap up the live show there, but I do want to say thank you guys for hanging out. I know it's been a while. I did miss you guys. I missed making live shows, and I will keep up with the live shows at least one a week. Which day will that be? I'm not quite sure. It just depends on whatever day I have the most energy to give you guys or whatever I want to talk about. But like I said, thank you guys for watching. Thanks for hanging out, and I hope you join me on the next live show. And also, real quick, if you haven't watched it, go over to the Flickpick channel. I have a few new reviews up over there. I have one for Barbie. Go check that out if you want to. Leave your thoughts on that review. And thanks for watching, guys. Stay safe. Have a good night, and take care. Bye-bye.